In any case, if anyone's honored to be met, it's me by you. Detective William Murdoch. Your work on the Cabbagetown murders, sheer genius.
Thank you. Thank you.
Nova Scotia, eh?
Yes, sir. That's where I was born.
What'd your father do?
He was a fisherman, sir.
Still out there?
But we've lost touch.
Oh. And your mother?
My mother passed away when I was just a lad.
You joined the force 10 years ago? Where were you before that?
I worked in a lumber camp up north. I went there from Montreal, stayed 2 winters. I met a lumberman there who had done a stint as a constable. I liked the sounds of it, so I applied.
What makes you think you'd make a good inspector?
I spent 5 years as a constable before becoming acting detective at Station House Number 4. I was promoted to full detective 3 years ago. I've headed up 36 murder investigations and achieved convictions in all but 2. I get on well with the men.
Very impressive. Marital status?
A bachelor. I was engaged to Liza Milner. She passed away just over a year ago.
My condolences. Well, what else should I know about you?
Sir, I like to read, mostly medical and scientific journals. I'm strong, healthy, punctual.
Religious affiliation?
Roman Catholic. I can only attend but once or twice a week, but I try to make confession as often as possible.
Perhaps it has something to do with this Liza person. I trust you were close.
She was my fiancée.
I see. Well, may I ask what happened?
She died of consumption over a year ago.
Oh, I'm sorry.
This is my timepiece.
For William, on your birthday with love. Who's Liza?
She was a very special friend of mine.
Well, they make you a detective now, is that right?
Yeah, beats logging. I tried to write you at the seminary after Jesuit school.
You know, the priesthood didn't work out. I met a girl.
Mary, Wives of Windsor.
I'm impressed.
You're the first. The Jesuits thought I was far too analytical for literature.
Nonsense.
Your comments last night on Rembrandt's technique tell me that you're an art lover.
I was educated by Jesuits. They use the classics as hooks to capture our young souls.
Sir, you know, he mentioned a train. He has a sister in a convent in Montreal. Perhaps he's going to visit her.
His sister's a nun?
Yes, sir.
Will?
Susanna?
Sir?
Constable, allow me to introduce my sister.
It's been 20 years, Will. I knew that you would want to meet, and I was afraid that we would be strangers.
Stranger, Susanna. I'm your brother.
A 17-year-old who left to a logging camp to get his start in the world. That's how I remember you. I don't know this Detective Murdoch at all. Mother had hoped you'd be a priest one day, but that wouldn't have been right for you.
Why do you say that?
You're forever asking how things worked, why they worked. A priest or someone like me tries to comprehend God's ways, but doesn't question. I suppose you were always a detective, choosing science over faith.
Judges and juries weigh facts, not my faith.
Oh, yes, I forgot. You speak French, don't you?
Yes, sir. Educated by Jesuits in New Brunswick.
You still doing a bit of boxing?
No, I see enough of that in the streets.
Yeah. Why that a Father O'Brien beat it out of you?
Did a week ever go by we didn't see the inside of his office?
No.
William Murdoch, the possessor of the most logical mind I know, being frightened of butterflies?
They make me uneasy, is all.
But perhaps they represent a different fear. An unpleasant or terrifying memory?
What?
You know they're harmless, don't you?
Yes.
Then what troubles you about them?
Please don't open the cage.
I won't. William, I was thinking about what happened when you were 8. when you started to feel uneasy about them. Your mother died then, didn't she?
Yes.
Could the two be related?
My mother's death and butterflies?
Think.
I saw her. I found her dead body. I moved to her, turned her over. She was surrounded by butterflies.
They won't harm you. They're just representative of a terrible memory. They're harmless creatures, William. You see? There's no need to be afraid.
A souvenir from childhood.
My father sailed around Cape Horn on a ship like that when he was a young man. This was his. The world of the dinosaur hunter has fascinated me since childhood. And when I finally venture there, I find it's a haven for ruthless ambition and petty jealousy. For years, I've dreamt of visiting the Alberta Badlands, exploring them myself. But now, you and I are very much alike, Mr. Grimesby.
We are.
Yes. Both our fathers were alcoholic. Our mothers died when we were very young. And as a boy, I too had an alter ego, a stuffed bear toy.
What was his name?
Bear.
Straightforward, fitting.
My point is that my stuffed bear also spoke for me on occasion. Knew all of my secrets, as I suspect Mycroft knows all of yours.
Well, William, you should know that you're not the only one that lives inside their head.
Does discussing personal matters make you uncomfortable?
No, it does not.
You didn't glance to the left.
No, I didn't.
It's important to you, isn't it? Family.
Oh, yes. My family life was so erratic. I suppose it made me crave my own close-knit family someday.
You deserve such happiness.
You want children someday, don't you?
I hope to have a son someday. Well, sir, I saw my son. He was 8 years old. He was very excited to see me.
Is your name William Murdoch?
Yes.
Do you live at 22 Ontario Street?
Yes.
Do you attend church on Sunday?
Yes.
Every Sunday?
Yes. I must say, I'm pleased to hear you putting your faith back in science and not spiritualism.
Your world may consist of cold logic, detective, but I'm afraid I need something more.
I do have something more. My faith. Doctor, I must tell you, the circumstances around this case have been very difficult for me. They go against my upbringing, my education, my beliefs.
Really?
Are you willing to forego your principles, your values, your faith?
I don't think that's necessary.
Don't you? I thought upholding the law was everything to you.
And that will never change. Lead us not into temptation, George.
Yes, sir.
William, don't be obtuse. It's the torso of a woman. Behaving as nature intended. If God didn't want us to express our desires, then why would he give us desires in the first place?
To test our resolve.
At whose expense?
The body's still the Lord's temple, eh, Will? I'll see you.
Really, William, I'm surprised at your close-mindedness.
Detective Murdoch goes out of his way to avoid pleasure.
Ah, excellent.
Sir, I wonder how the detective is making out in the rain.
I'm sure he's well prepared.
Yes, he always is, sir.
Bloody Murdoch. Never a hair out of place on him, is there?
He is a fastidious chap, to be sure.
Quite annoying sometimes.
Well, annoying is a harsh term.
Stick in the mud. You ever seen him laugh?
Well, I've seen him smile. I've even seen him smirk, so he does project a sense of being somewhat amused from time to time.
You see, Doctor, I sense that there is something missing in your life. At first, I thought it was Murdoch. Seemingly bland chap at first blush.
He's far from bland.
I've come to realize that.
Just that I'm fairly soaked through with sweat here, and you've nary a hair out of place.
I believe in propriety, George, no matter the temperature.
A police officer and a man of science.
Murdoch. Good copper.
Murdoch, you're a bloody good copper, and you've got a mind like no one else I've ever met. But trust me, you're not cut out for the shite that comes with the job. Sir, Detective Murdoch is quite exceptional. This is a good station house, and for reasons beyond me, the men seem to think the world of you. And it's also plain to see that I could clearly use a good right-hand, left-hand man to keep me out of trouble.
Whoever committed this murder devised a brilliant plan, and Professor Godfrey has a more than capable mind.
Yes, well, he didn't figure on your brain, did he? You remember Detective Murdoch, do you not? And you're aware of his reputation. Detective Murdoch specializes in evidence. He uses all kinds of gewgaws and devices most coppers have never even heard of.
Detective Murdoch, you are a world-renowned expert on finger marks, are you not?
I am an expert, yes.
Sir, you have over 90 cases.
With the constabulary, sir, always thought I'd found a place where I fit in.
Buck up, Murdoch. You're a different kind of copper. And it's what this ungrateful lot needs, whether they like it or not. Do you hear me?
Thank you, sir.
All right. Well, good.
You're all right, William. This must be hard on you to be tearing down the thing you love,
I prefer to think I'm protecting it.
despite the consequences.
Oh, Julia, I can do no less.
I know, William. It's what I admire about you.
But the law doesn't always work the way it should. Haven't you seen that in the 12 years since this happened to me? Have you not changed in that time? Is the letter of the law still all you care about, even when it's wrong? Michael Cudmore would have kept on killing. He deserved his fate, and worse. You know what I did was just.
What choice do I have?
Then will you watch my hanging?
If that's the verdict, yes. It's my duty.
Then I will see you on that day.
I arrested Cudmore, and my inspector at Station House number 1 beat a confession out of him.
You said something about your mistakes defining you. I believe it's what you do to right them that does. When did I become so philosophical?
You recognize Tesla?
Yes, he's one of my heroes.
Mr. Tesla.
Alexander Graham Bell.
I'm sorry, sir. I know he's something of an idol.
But, Mr. Marconi, if I may, it is an honor to meet you. Vice.
You and I have very similar backgrounds, it turns out. Both born into poverty, held deep religious beliefs, and scientifically minded. Both self-made men.
Murdoch, I know that you take great personal pride in having just 2 speeds. Slow and dead slow.
No, it's not that, sir. I believe this woman to be innocent.
Yeah, you're daydreaming, aren't you? You like that as a little fella.
You have a great deal of knowledge. This is a source of pride to you. You take comfort in logic. Except when it conflicts with your religious beliefs.
I'm familiar with this parlor game. Speak in flattering generalities, avoid specifics.
You love a woman. She's your match in every way.
The murder was 8 years ago, correct?
Yes.
The year I became a coroner, and the year I met you.
And what of peaceable types who live in their mind? How do they fare in this great Darwinian struggle?
When you met, was it love at first sight?
Not expressed as such.
But surely...
Yes, there was an attraction. But the detective lived and breathed his work, as did I. William, I believe you're jealous.
I am not jealous.
Come along, William.
Was it that bad?
Quite the opposite. All that cycling's been to your benefit.
Detective, has anyone ever told you you're a handsome man?
This Detective Murdoch, serious fellow, thoughtful, clever.
Mr. Grimes. In the bookcase. Sheer genius.
It's brilliant.
I don't say this enough, Murdoch, but you do have some brilliant ideas.
Thank you, sir.
I think it's quite something that you're basing your new novel on Detective Murdoch. He's got an uncanny grasp of the criminal mind and just an unbelievably observational eye.
Is she under every rock, eh, William?
Yes? I'm sorry.
Encountering these dastardly villains, you must be afraid.
Oh, well, I've never really thought
And the
about...
human cost, surrounded by tragedy. How do you sleep?
8 hours, rain or shine.
And the cost your work must have on your soul.
William sees crime as an intricate puzzle. One which can always be solved.
Yes.
through logical-
But how does it affect you?
I've never really considered how it...
I see. The man truly is an island.
What about Murdoch?
Oh, can't fathom in one little bit. Just spends half his time sitting and thinking.
No, but he's done well.
Dr. Grace, Detective Murdoch is among the best in his field. This comes from experience and deserves respect.
And you don't have the look. You've soft eyes. Kind eyes. So judgmental.
Spirits. You're quite all right. You look a tad peaked.
Detective Murdoch is a teetotaler. He practices teetotalism.
Well, then it's a woman. Vacation between the sheets.
You've got him all wrong, Slorak. Detective Murdoch is probably the most buttoned-down man you'll ever meet.
William, I've never known you to drink.
Only on special occasions.
And this is one.
Yes.
At first, I assumed he'd had a little too much. William is not used to liquor.
Where's Detective Murdoch? He should be enjoying his triumph.
He's not usually one for praise, Mr. Mayor.
Or drinking.
Rubbish!
Sir, how many pairs of shoes do you own?
2. I'm not much for wearing costumes.
How much do you weigh, Murdoch?
Approximately 160 pounds.
Detective Murdoch doesn't waltz, Henry. Believe me, I've seen him try.
Your logic is infuriating.
Just a little bit winsome.
Perhaps a little.
Good.
Doesn't every man tell his lover he would die for her? But how many truly would? Would you? I know you'd fight for her to the death if necessary, but to actually trade your life.
And the pain?
I can bear it.
Yes, I know you can.
What part did you play?
Second clown.
Hamlet. One of my favorites, sir. I read Gregor Mendel's experiments in plant hybridization last July at the beach.
For some light summer reading.
Yes.
From the Earth to the Moon.
William Henry Murdoch.
It was my favorite book when I was a boy.
What kind of poetry do you prefer, Detective?
I have a fondness for poets from the post-Restoration period. Thank you.
Murdoch does do his fair share of reading. Oddball medical journals and the like. Perhaps transplantology got a mention.
Oh, don't be ridiculous, man!
Did you ever write poetry to your sweetheart as a boy, Murdoch?
Oh, sir, I'm not much of a poet. Though I do remember being quite proud of a rhyming couplet I wrote in praise of the family dog. It was a very well-behaved dog.